Welcome to the Point of No Return podcast, a show at the intersection of technology and strategy. On this show, we interview industry leaders and experts to better understand how they think about strategy during this time of exponential progress.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Point of No Return podcast. On this week's show, I spoke with Antony Diaz, founder at Uvolt. It was a bit of a different episode because instead of talking about success, we spoke about failure. His startup Uvolt was recently put on hold, and we dissected a lot of what happened and what insights can be learned from that quote-unquote failure. Antony is an entrepreneur who's passionate about clean energy, artificial intelligence, and the use of technology to empower change. He founded Uvolt just at 17 years old, and the startup seeks to make clean energy more practical, more accessible through consumer products. Their first product, the Uvolt watch, lets consumers harvest solar power and wireless energy to charge a battery, which then is easily removable and plugged directly into a phone. Like I said, the project was recently put on hold, even after having done their Kickstarter, and Anthony's still evaluating what to do with the project. But I found that the insights learned from that experience were fascinating. We spoke about, the mistakes he made, the many positives gained from that experience, the interesting technology that's used in Uvolt, a new project that he founded that's focused on education in Colombia, with a focus on entrepreneurship, and why he's excited about clean tech, education, and healthcare. Despite the recent drawbacks, Anthony's really set for a stellar career. He was really open and sharing his experiences, and I learned a ton from him. I hope that you enjoy the show. Anthony, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. I've obviously been following you for a little while and following your project. I'd love to maybe start with a question, a curiosity question. So what led you to wanting to start your own project?
I will say the mission. First, I understand that to be an entrepreneur, the good thing to be an entrepreneur is that you can empower change. You can make a positive impact in the society that you're living. So that was what drive me to do all my projects. In the case of Uvolt, the idea was to make renewable energy more accessible in our everyday life, and to make you and anyone part of the solution.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and just for a bit of background, right? So, how long have you lived in Canada now?
It has been 5 years.
5 years, okay. And did you speak any of the languages when you came here, English or French, or?
No, not English, nor French.
So you learned everything basically when you came here, right?
Survivors, yeah.
So maybe talk to me about the project Uvolt. Obviously, it's gone through some changes and ups and downs, and I think there's a lot that can be learned from the project. But yeah, give me the high level of the project, please.
Uvolt started when I was in high school. I had this idea with one of my best friends to use my body energy to charge my phone. At the beginning, it was very complicated because my age, because I didn't speak the language. So when I want to share the idea, the teachers didn't understand me. But that's when I realized that there is another way to learn. So I started to take online course. I learned the principle of electronics, programming, and during 6 months, every day I had been working with my friends. And 6 months later, we went back to the school with a functional prototype. Mm-hmm. That was like the beginning of Uvolt. After that, I saw the potential that it could do this project. So I started looking how we can make this science fair project into a product.
And you were 17 at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started to search a team. I learned very early that I need to surround myself with people that complement me, that are very good, that have their strength in what are not my abilities. So I started to surround myself with a great teams, and we start to looking what are the product that could satisfy the market. Mm-hmm. that's how we evolved from a bracelet, after a bracer, after a watch, and we continue to to think about it.
Yeah. And when did you seize upon the final idea, right? If you want to explain me what the final idea is as it exists today as well.
Yeah, the final idea that we launched in March 2017 was a watch that harvests solar energy and wireless energy to charge an internal battery that you can take off and plug into your phone anywhere and anytime. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that you produce your own energy to be always connected.
So to be able to recharge your phone, I guess people have this deep fear of their, the phone being, losing its power. So what best way to charge your phone than by having a watch, let's say, being able to provide that energy.
Exactly.
Now, what kind of technology is behind that? What do you have to be good at from an engineering perspective to be able to build a watch like that?
The interesting thing about it is how we can optimize the space and use little surface to produce some amount of energy that we can use in a useful way in our everyday life. Mm-hmm. For that application, it was to charge our phone. But also we can do it for medical application, for example. So there is a lot of potential that we can explore doing this technology.
And so what's the status or what's been the progression of the project?
In March, after we launched the Kickstarter campaign, the crowdfunding, the idea was to test the market and to see if there is an interest from a lot of people to be able to manufacture and produce the first Uvolt watch. It was successful, the Kickstarter campaign. We received more than 120K, but it was not the amount sufficient to produce the watch. So we decided to give back to people the money that they pay for pre-order the watch.
Okay. So you refunded the people that donated on Kickstarter, and the project, from what we were talking about, is kind of on hold right now, right? So the team has been temporarily disbanded. Everyone's kind of gone their own way, and right now it's from what I understand a little bit on pause, right?
Exactly.
Okay. What is what have been the learnings? I guess there's been multiple learnings, right, for yourself. But what's the biggest thing? Obviously, unexpected was the project didn't go as much as you planned. What else was unexpected? Was it the technical challenge? Was the sales the issue? What did you see as the major obstacles?
I will say that it's important it was a consumer product, so it's important to understand that even if it is cool, even if it have a good technology, if people don't want to use it, it's not useful. So what my team and I learned was that we cannot take something for granted. We need to test it every time, and the goal behind our product is to satisfy the needs for customer in the best way. So if the watch was not functional, that doesn't mean that is not good. It only mean that people are not interested to have a watch. Maybe to have another type of solution. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that we learned, and we are still processing to see how we can come back.
Yeah. What did people like the most? So it seems like the functional aspect of the watch was an issue. What other aspects of the project did people latch onto that they did appreciate?
We have different issues. It could be the design. Maybe it's too big for the female customers, so it was more oriented for men. Also, maybe the capacity of the charge is not 100%, it was 50%, so it was different. And we was really clear in our message, so maybe that was a little problem. But I feel good to communicate what was the reality and not just promise something cool and after deliver something that is not what I promised.
What were the biggest like engineering roadblocks you guys had to overcome to put into such a small size?
How to process different components and how to maximize the capacity of the battery using a really small solar panel. So it was a lot of research and development for my engineer team. And I am very proud about it.
Nice. Do you think, obviously looking in the future, hopefully as the project gets revived, do you see, can you transfer any of those learnings into another product? Doesn't necessarily need to be, I guess, a consumer product. Have you ever thought of shifting this to more of a business-to-business product? Or right now you're still doing a little bit of the post-mortem of the project being on hold, and you haven't necessarily uncovered what's the next evolution of Uvolt?
Exactly. As I say, there is a lot of potential but for instance, I am holding the project in pause. I am looking for new opportunities to explore new things that can help me to mature myself in this environment. But there is a lot of things that I learned from that experience that I am sure that can help me to not do the same mistake.
Yeah. What did you learn? Like, what was the biggest learning for you?
Was a lot of learning. I learned a lot of things. Like, one of the things that I love the most is that when you are from past experience with Uvolt, that was that when you have a amount of people that are very passionate about what they are doing, it will always be a solution for every problem. So that was what helped us to succeed, even knowing that we didn't have funding at the beginning. We didn't have the money to pay our engineers who were competing because they are working in Bombardier or in big companies and decide to move to work full time with Uvolt. So it was all about the passion, about the determination to make a positive impact.
Mm-hmm. Maybe more of a personal question, but what hurt the most? Well, maybe I'll lead you down one path, but I'm looking. You had built a team. You guys were 6-7 people, right? It's and you, like you said, a lot of passionate people that could have probably afforded, higher paying positions elsewhere, and that I guess is gone today, right? Like that, there's no team to go back to. There's no office, right? I guess that could be part of it. But I was thinking from your perspective, is it more? I don't know. It could be something else. I'm kind of obviously it's a leading question with what I'm saying, but.
I will say that was a really good experience, and I learned a lot how to manage people and how to understand that each person have his own vision. So it's important that when we are working in team to understand what are the goals and what is the mission of each one of the person that are in the team. And why I say understand is because if you want that together we are going to our same goal, we need to know how we can help you to achieve your goal working together. Mm-hmm. So I will say that it's very important to have a good communication. And that was one of the maybe mistake that I made when things going very fast. So I will say for future ventures that is really important to have a really good communication with your teams and always be alert when things or when there is problems.
Yeah, no, these are the words of wisdom, I guess, right? It's good. I'm happy you're sharing this, Antony, because I find obviously there's a lot of talk of, the successful startups, everything that's gone well. You always hear about people raising money as almost as a proxy for success. But you don't know the background, right? You don't see that sometimes the financials are not great, and there is no product, and there's no traction. And I appreciate that you came on and basically are being open and sharing what's not gone well and where you've struggled. So I think that's very honorable on your behalf. So I want to thank you. You have a very eclectic and interesting set of interests, right? So I think clean energy is one. You've mentioned a few others. So I'd like to explore with you what's next for Antony. What else are your interests? Are where are they going to lead you?
I would say that I want to do a good impact in three things in my life. One is in clean energy, another one is in education, and finally in healthcare. If I am able to do something great in these three areas, I will be very happy with myself.
I'm wondering, that's interesting. Clean energy, can that be applied to education as well? I'm guessing it could very much, right?
Yeah. And actually that was something that happened to us with Uvolt. What was very interesting, what I think is made our success is that it's not only a product, it's a movement. There is a bunch of people who reunite together to think about the future, to think about how they can do a great initiative in their community. And one of them will be in Colombia, where one of my teammates and I went this summer. And the idea is to combine education and sustainability with the goal of change the perspective of kids in Colombia and make them to be innovators. What we want is to show that anyone could be an entrepreneur. For me, my definition being an entrepreneur is to create a good value to the society, making a concrete action.
A positive contribution, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what's the name of the project? Does it have a name yet, or?
For instance, is Uvolt Initiative.
Okay. You're like, we're going to keep the brand simple. We're just going to call it Uvolt. Okay. Okay, that's great. That's great. Is there any information that exists about it online or not yet?
Not yet, but you can follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter, and I will share the information in the next week.
Why do you think it's important for younger education to be interested in entrepreneurship? Obviously, I think it's an obvious point for me, at least, to say yes, they should be. But I'm curious to see your motivation and why you're interested in that.
I think it's important to make people realize that everything is not already done. Sometimes we think that...
Is not what, sorry?
Not everything is already done. Sometimes we think that the world already proposed all the solution, or that big company already do everything that we can imagine.
Yeah, everything's done basically, and
Exactly.
everything that's been invented has already been invented. Yeah,
And I feel it's more the time I have been implying the Montreal startup community, more I realize that it's not the case. And I want to make young people realize that you can be the solution. You can be the next innovator. You can be basically, you don't need to wait for anyone else to do something that you can do for your own. So, as I say, for me, being an entrepreneur is to be able to create a positive impact in people's life, doing even little actions that can contribute to the world.
yeah, that's great. And what do you think are the biggest impediments today? Maybe obviously you're familiar with the Colombian space, but I see it in the Canadian space. I don't think there's enough being done in the education system to promote entrepreneurship in particular. And I don't even it's the right word. It's just promoting people to think differently and giving them the tool set to do so. What are the obstacles you're going to try and overcome with this project? And obviously, it's one of the three key areas that you said that you're interested in. So thinking of how you're going to go solving it.
Using my own experience, I will say that one of the things that I really appreciate and that helped me to improve myself was to understand that school is only one way to learn, but there is a lot of different ways that you can learn in this world. One of them is having mentorship. surround yourself with people who already experience something that you want to achieve. Another one is using internet in the good way. There is a lot of good information that you can use to teach yourself, also to learn and to gain new abilities. So it's important to not only wait for the school to evaluate, but evaluate yourself using the tools that you have in your own.
Maybe a broad question. It could be in any of those three areas that you mentioned, right? Clean tech, education, or healthcare. What excites you the most? What new development or new tech or new trend that you're really keeping your eyes on?
Something that little people know about me is that my passion is mathematics, solve problems. And that was actually something that helped me a lot to integrate myself in the Quebec society when I immigrated. And also it was something that helped me a lot to enter in the Montreal startup community and start my own startup. It was that mathematics, what I love is to find the simple solution to a complex problem. To answer to your question, something that I really love is the artificial intelligence. And that's something that I start to looking forward and looking what are the different way that I can learn from that, because I think it's a powerful tool that we can use to improve all our activities in education, in healthcare, in climate change, in security.
Yeah. Have you seen any specific applications that you're looking at that are of particular interest?
I will say there is two interests that have in my mind at this time. One is cybersecurity, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy Deloitte to work in cybersecurity space. And the other one is education, how we can personalize the education in the way that everyone can maximize how we can learn from my own. Because in my way, it's very easy to teach myself and to take online course because I love that. But I know it's not the same case for everyone.
Mm-hmm. And what are your current priorities in terms of maybe the Uvolt project or just overall? What are thinking of what you're focusing on right now?
Now I'm focusing in take the time to step back, learn from the experience, and continue to develop the initiative that we start. Maybe not as a business, but as an initiative that can bring a positive impact. Mm-hmm. So the Colombia is one of the upcoming projects that are coming that we already are planning. Yeah.
That's great. I guess one last general question. Where can people find out more about what you're doing or check you out and learn more about your projects?
People can follow me in Twitter, in LinkedIn. I am more than glad to answer all your question if you want to know more about the startup community, about how to do a crowdfunding campaign or anything else. I am more than open to help you.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, thanks for your time, Antony. It was super interesting, and I'll put some of the links in the show notes as well.
Thank you very much.
Right, take care.
Thank you for listening to the Point of No Return podcast. Never miss an episode by clicking on the subscribe button on iTunes or Google Play.